Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 397 of CryptoBiography, and it's part 2 of Cold Healing. And here we go. I went up to it, but it seemed to be fine. It stood up and gazed at me. I didn't want to touch it, so I turned around and kept heading to the neighbor's house. It followed me the whole way. "Hi, Deidre. Milk?" Mrs. Thomason asked when I arrived. "Yep," I said. We always bought the same amount, so she didn't have to ask. She just waved me in. As I entered, she looked behind me. "You seem to have a squirrel following you." "Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that." I got the milk and returned home with the strange squirrel still in tow. The cat avoided the squirrel from then on. Over time, it seemed to grow thin and gaunt, and fur fell out in chunks. But it still lived in the tree nearest my window, and it still looked at me most of the time. Eventually it disappeared just as the ladybug had. Perhaps it was carried off by a hawk. But the next thing that happened was more serious. I was with my younger sister, Caitlin, and she was climbing our neighbor's fence, don't ask, and fell off of it. It wouldn't have been too bad, as the fall wasn't that far, but her knee contacted a rock and gashed it open. She was yelling, and I ran towards her. I crouched next to her. Her knee was bleeding freely, and she was holding the area and crying. "You'll be okay, Kate," I said several times. I wasn't actually sure. I knew I would have to determine if she'd broken her knee, but I couldn't do that while she was wailing at the top of her lungs. "Let's see what it looks like," I said gently, because I hadn't been able to see the wound yet. I touched her hands and pulled them away bit by bit. Kate knew I was helping her and let me. The wound was a nasty gash, but it didn't seem like the kneecap had broken. I slowly had her move her leg, and she was able to, so it didn't seem like any bone was broken or ligaments torn. Still, there was a fair flood of blood from her gash. I thought this could be my chance to try my healing. "Let me try my healing," I said. Caitlin listened to her snuffling. "You can heal like Siobhan?" "Yes," I said. I put my hands just beside the wound. I concentrated and felt the strange, prickly cold move from the base of my skull, down my neck and shoulders, through my arms and hands, and into the wound. Instead of calming down, Caitlin yelped and pulled away from me. Then she held her knee and screamed. "What's wrong?" I said, panic galloping down my back. "That hurts," Caitlin said. She looked down at her knee, and so did I. The wound wasn't bleeding, but it had turned green, and the blood was nearly black and thick. Caitlin screamed and ran for home. The panic, which had already galloped down my back, now hit me in the stomach. I was immediately nauseous. I'd hurt my little sister. Part of me wanted to run away, but I knew that wouldn't be the right thing to do. Also, I had no idea what was happening. At the time, I was still convincing myself I was healing things. Now I was confused. My mother was a healer like Siobhan. My father was telepathic. Though Father had been good about staying out of his family's brains, I knew something this serious would be reason enough for him to do a little brain snooping. But beyond that, I needed to know what was happening. I had to trust my parents, trust that they would help me. And for the most part, they did. After they took one look at Caitlin's knee, they had Mom fix her up, which took a lot of effort on her part. Then they came and talked with me. They asked me about anything unusual, anything that might be magic, and I told them about the ladybug and the squirrel and Caitlin's knee. And that's all, I added. I really thought I was helping. That's the end of the episode this week. Yes, I didn't get quite as much written as I was hoping to. But I did enjoy what I was writing. It just took longer than it usually does. Also, it was a very strange week. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Blue Sky. We are no longer on Twitter, X, or Mastodon. And thanks for listening. Words of Music copyright 2025, Brandon Starr, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.